We all know that before you put a shovel near the ground, planning before you dig is critical to making sure we don't hit any underground infrastructure. When it comes to pipelines specifically, there are a number of rules one must follow to be safe. Failure to follow these rules can mean serious injury or death. It can mean a loss of oil, gas, or communication services to your communities. It can also mean environmental damage, which can negatively impact our health and safety. In Saskatchewan, maximum fines for incidents causing serious injury or death are $500,000 for an individual and $1.5 million for a corporation, the highest in Canada. If you have an incident, it could mean a serious hit to your reputation, damage to your equipment, and you having to foot the bill for repair costs. It can also mean possible negative media coverage.
We offer line locating services for NEB, National Energy Board regulated pipelines. An NEB regulated pipeline is any pipeline that crosses provincial borders or the Canadian-US border. The pipeline companies will purchase the rights to a right-of-way or a piece of land for the purpose of putting a pipe down, maintaining and operating it. When the land is purchased for that reason, it now becomes an NEB regulated piece of land. So there are a lot of requirements to make sure the land is protected, to make sure the pipeline is protected, and to make sure people living and working around the pipeline are protected. Well, I think a lot of times when you go out into a field and you're looking at developing a project, you look around for the lay of the land, sloughs, bushland, that sort of thing. But there's also above ground structures. There's poles near the roadways that designate pipelines. So there's a lot of things out there that will tell you that there's buried facilities.
This is a telltale sign. It has things like high pressure gas line, 1-800 emergency number, do not remove, subject to fines and federal law, and the pipeline company. These are typically along grid roads, highways, fence lines, tree lines.
The pipeline company that I'm working for today, they have to know that I'm out here. They have to know what quarters I'm working in and what first call tickets I'm responding to in order for their records and in order to make sure that I'm safe and obviously their pipeline is safe.
So with the first call, I come out to site. I put in a yellow stake representing a natural gas pipeline. This stake represents very close to the center of the pipeline. From there, I go over and mark out the right-of-way, which is marked out in pink. The right-of-way on both sides of the pipeline is the NEB regulated zone. Traffic, ground disturbance, any other activities such as that cannot take place without an agreement with the pipeline companies.
Within a right-of-way, there could be one pipeline, there could be several pipelines. Each line will be located separately. So if there's 7 pipelines, there will be 7 lines located with yellow stakes.
Going from here is the prescribed zone or the safety zone, which is 30 meters off the center of the pipeline.
It really represents the edge of the right-of-way because different requirements are in place for inside the right-of-way as opposed to outside.
So this is the end of the prescribed zone or safety zone. This area is still regulated by the NEB, National Energy Board, and requirements are still needed to cover this off.
Typical farming practices are completely allowed. Pipeline companies don't want to restrict agriculture farmland from being used. In order to put the pipe in the ground, there's a lot of studies done to make sure that the agriculture equipment being used today will not impact that pipeline. If they want to put a dugout in, they need to have an agreement. If they decide they need to install a fence across the right-of-way, that requires an agreement. If a contractor comes in to do any work, again, an agreement is required between the pipeline company and the contractor. Stockpiling isn't allowed on a right-of-way. Removing any soil isn't allowed on a right-of-way. And the reason for that being is that soil is there to protect the pipeline. An agreement, once it is executed, is good for 2 years. So don't leave it till a week or 2 before you're ready to start the work. Give them time to get it in place. There's questions, there's a bit of conversation as go back and forth on what kind of equipment's being used, what's being done. When I have first call dispatched to me, I call the person that requested the first call. I want to know what type of activities they're undertaking. I want to know if the site has been pre-marked by them. I want to know if a site visit has to be made. Once I get the site, I've got to be well aware of what activity is going to happen so I can put my stakes in the ground to be the biggest benefit to them. Following that, I need them to know what those stakes mean. My expertise falls in the lines of what's running in that pipeline and how dangerous it is. We're all out there for the same reason. We're all part of the same team. At the end of the day, we want a safe and effective, efficient project. I'll be there to help you out, and I'll be there to keep you safe.
What do the colors mean? Get your Safe Ground Disturbance Checklist at scga.ca today.
SAS First Call is a ticket and screening company. So we work on behalf of 83 subscriber companies. We're not a locator as many people think we are. What we do is we take the dig information that our excavators and our homeowners give us, and we screen that information against our mapping of all of our subscriber companies. If those subscriber companies indicate that they have underground facilities within your dig area, we send them a notification, or we call it a ticket, to let them know that they need to go and perform locates for your dig site. You should use SAS First Call when you're doing any digging within the province of Saskatchewan. Whether you're a contractor or a homeowner, you should be contacting SAS First Call to make sure that you get all necessary line locates. If you need to request locates by SAS First Call, the best way is to go online at sasfirstcall.com. You can request those locates 24 hours a day. You can also use our mobile app to get those requests in. You can contact SAS First Call by phone. We're open between the hours of 8 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Our phone number is 1-866-828-4888. The preference is really to go online. When you go online, you get a Google image of your work area. You can draw on that Google image, attach it to the ticket, and that map that you attach goes directly to the locator. SAS First Call is your first call. We're not a one call yet. So companies who own underground facilities do not need to be part of SAS First Call as today's legislation stands. So if there are underground facilities that aren't part of SAS First Call, it is up to the excavator to be able to find out what those facilities are. The other one thing that I want to make sure everyone's aware of is SAS First Call does not locate private lines. So if you have a private line that runs from a house to a garage that you installed or you had a contractor installed, our member companies are not going to be locating those. So if you know you have private lines, you do need to look after hiring a private locator to locate that line for you. A list of private locators are found on our website at sasfirstcall.com.
This break brought to you by SAS First Call. Whether you're a contractor, homeowner, or anyone doing work around underground infrastructure, contact SAS First Call before you begin your work. Always call or click before you dig.
So we're going to start here. We're contractors. We're working for SAS Tel. We are directional drilling and doing facility work. A good day of drilling is like 200 meters with one drill. So, and it's taking on an average 3 hydrovacs to open up enough holes for me to drill that safely and know where all utilities are without having line strikes. Every year there's more and more stuff in the ground. There's, people are upgrading their facilities. Every year that I keep drilling, it just gets harder and harder. There's very few safe paths to drill anymore without being close to other utilities. I'll basically look at my maps, determine where we're going to drill. We will call First Call. We call from all the addresses that we're going to be going to and all the facilities we're going to be entering. Then I'll go pre-mark the bore path, kind of showing the locators where we're working so there's no discrepancies on where we're going and where we're not going. Once they've made their paint and I've got my drawings from them, I'll go and paint out where my guys need to hydrovac. Once everything's opened up, I confirm with the locators that everything is where it is, and then I'll call my crew in. We'll walk the bore path. I'll show my driller exactly what we're crossing, where we're crossing it, and how we're going to cross it, and then we'll drill through. If I can't get at least a minimum of 1 meter safe distance away from the locates, then I like to spot the line every 10, 15 meters. We spot the line to confirm it is where it is. And if I'm going to be crossing a line, and if you're going to go under the line, you need 2 feet of separation, and above the line, you need 1 foot of separation. I will never drill within a foot of any utility. I have hit a primary that was unmarked. There was no injuries. Luckily for us, the breaker blew off the pole right away, and that's scary, man. If you ever see any disturbed ground recently, or you see, you know, new buildings put up, you always expect, you know, that there's gonna be more stuff in the ground. Do the extra hydrovacing. I've opened up lots of hydrovac holes, and my guys will say, oh, there's a chunk of pipe and it's missing the yellow jacket. And then they hydrovac, you know, a foot deeper, and they're like, oh, we found another line. 90% of the time, if you find a chunk of old utility in the ground, it means the utility's been worked on or has been serviced or replaced recently. Confirm that there isn't a second line in the vicinity. When we find lines that aren't marked or something that doesn't look right, utilities are changing direction from where they were, then our common practice is to call the locators back. I meet with the locators on a daily basis, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, depending on if I have discrepancies. What I'm looking for is for everything that's marked on the ground to be consistent with what's on my map. The colors, what's in the ground, how many cables. These are all live utilities. I mean, it's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of going home or, you know, taking your buddy home in a box. I have 3 girls at home and I want to go home and see them. And all my crew or my family, we all work together. I mean, we're a bunch of brothers here getting a job done. So, I mean, for me, I want everyone to be able to go home to their families. It's very important, even as a first day guy or a 30-year guy. Everyone has the right and the obligation to make work safe and to work together, talk to guys and explain what your issue is and what can we do to prevent it. My crew have not just the right, but the obligation to make sure things are safe.
We are looking for SaskTel, SaskPower, and Sask Energy underground facilities. There could also be private lines within your work area that we could be looking for as outside service from First Call. Well, there could be a situation where there's a private power line to someone's garage or a power line running somebody's grain dryer. That's not part of the SAS First Call ticket, but as Shermco, we provide a pay service that we could possibly do that for you. We would notify the contractor customer that there is a private line in the work area that is not owned by the Crown corporations. It's important to have good communication between the locator and the contractor so that we can make sure we have all the facilities located within their work area. Good communication would be a phone call or possibly a site meet, and especially white lining your work area. White lining is physically identifying the work area with either white paint or stakes, and the work area being where the excavation is going to be taking place. When a contractor makes their first call request, the contractor can provide a detailed description of what the work is being done, and they can also provide maps or pictures of their work area to help us make the job go quicker for them, and so we're not wasting time marking facilities that won't be affected by their work. The importance of having a site meet is so that all lines of communication will be open between the contractor and the locator. You can request a site meet through First Call at the time of requesting the First Call locate. It's very important to have the record of locate in the hands of the contractor who is performing the digging so that he can see that it matches what he has in his hand on the record of locate to what's on the ground. In the case of either weather or your ticket has expired the 10 business days, you will need to request a new locate through First Call. If a relocate is required, we try to get out there as quickly as we can. We're here to work as a team. It's very important to have these questions answered and discussed before you dig, so we can all go home safe at night.
What if the mission was zero? What if the mission was zero? 0 injuries, 0 fatalities, 0 suffering. Make 0 your mission.
It's just as important to look up as it is to look down when doing any kind of work around power lines, including excavation work. It's important when working around overhead lines to do the following. Plan your work in advance. Lower equipment while going under power lines. Know your limits of approach and use a spotter. If you do contact an overhead line, see if you can safely back away without damaging your machinery, the line, or nearby equipment, such as a power pole. If you can't back away, stay put and call 911. If you see others approaching you, open the door or window and tell them to stay away. If they approach you and touch the equipment, they can be electrocuted. As a last resort, if your vehicle is on fire and you have to exit, 1. Make sure there are no wires or other hazards in the way. 2. Stand in the doorway, cross your arms, and put your feet together. 3. Jump as far as possible and land with your feet together. 4. Do not touch the vehicle. 5. Keep your arms crossed, feet together, and hop at least 10 meters to safety. Alternatively, if the terrain allows, you can also shuffle your feet, keeping your feet together for 10 meters.
Hi, I'm Mike Sullivan, the Executive Director of the Canadian Common Ground Alliance. I'm here to talk to you about Bill S-229, the Underground Infrastructure Safety Enhancement Act. This legislation will require all federally regulated underground infrastructure to register with a one-call service, and any person digging to make a locate request to a one-call center. This legislation will reduce damages and ultimately will save lives. Please go to icandigsafe.ca and let your Member of Parliament know that this legislation is important for all Canadians.
We hope you were able to get some valuable tips on how to dig more safely. If you want more information, please head to scga.ca.